In this video, I'm going to be talking about a profound difference between FDR and Woodrow Wilson in terms of leadership, as well as the escalation of World War II in Europe. To begin with, FDR was more known as the people's president, while Woodrow Wilson was more concerned with the economic standpoint of the United States. FDR steered our country toward war while professing the whole time that we were trying to avoid it, because he knew that that's what the U.S. citizens would have wanted, which is why he's known as the people's president. Secondly, Germany started World War II by invading Poland on September 1st, 1939. Britain and France responded to this invasion by declaring war on Germany on September 3rd. Germany had defeated Poland within a month because they were so unprepared and easily corruptible. An interesting fact I learned while researching this topic was that Prague was the only city in Poland and Czechoslovakia that was untouched during World War II. In 1940, on May 10th, Germany began its expansion on Western Europe by invading the Low Countries such as the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. These countries had taken a neutral position on the war, which I thought was interesting. I was confused why Germany would have invaded them when they were neutral. So I thought this was a cheap strategy used by the Germans because so far in the war they had attacked countries that were unprepared, that they knew they could easily defeat, just so that they could expand their power throughout Europe. In 1941, Germany continued this strategy by securing the Balkan region by invading Yugoslavia and Greece on April 6, 1941. Again, they invaded more countries that were easily corruptible. On June 21st, the Germans and their allies invaded the Soviet Union, knowing fully that this was a direct violation of their German-Soviet pact. So far in the war, I've concluded that Germany was powerful, unreliable, and so far unstoppable. And I really don't like Germany at this point. Obviously, I don't like them at all in this war. On December 7th, 1941, we all know this date. It's when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, which forced the United States to become involved in the war by declaring war on Japan. So that's how FDR had avoided the war for so long, and then we were forced to enter because of this horrible event. Because of the U.S. declaring war on Japan, this forced Germany and Italy to declare war on the United States, which further expanded the war throughout the world. The war continued throughout all of 1942 and 1943. In May of 1942, the war was brought to Germany for the first time. Air forces had been bombing industrial plants and cities all over Germany. This well-deserved destruction of Germany brought much of urban Germany to rubble by 1945. In mid-January of 1945, the Allies bombed the German city of Dresden, which killed approximately 35,000 civilians. I found this surprising that the Allied forces would bomb a city knowing that there was so many civilians in there. It's just amazing to me how many people died during this war, which was 55 million deaths worldwide, and if they knew that there were so many civilians in there, I was just so surprised that so many civilians died because of this war. I know that nowadays we would have tried at all costs to avoid the civilian deaths, but it appeared to me that this was intentional for Germany. The Soviet Union was finally able to make offensive attacks because of this bombing on Dresden. So on April 6, 1945, they were they launched their final offensive attack, which enabled them to enable the German capital of Berlin. This forced Germany to surrender unconditionally on May 7, 1945. World War II was the largest and most destructive conflict in U.S. history. Um, so those are the differences between FDR and Woodrow Wilson, as well as the timeline of the escalation of World War II throughout Europe. Thanks for listening.